But they saw how Shrimp was such a tough-minded player. They're like, oh, man, this kid is 7 foot. He's tall, and he can shoot better than Della.
And he
He's
can
probably
run.
going to be better. Yeah, and numbers. Yeah, numbers. Did he put up better numbers? Yeah. Was he a better player? Not even close.
No.
Not even.
Detlef Schrempf could run the point a little. Detlef Schrempf was a rebounder. Detlef played D. Really good shooter. Really good in the post. Yep. Dirk, actually, when he got playing time, he was ready to bounce. But I was like, go ahead, leave. You whack anyway. But to his credit, he worked. He worked and he got better to where you know you could put him in. He's a Hall of Famer. I can't take that away from him.
Yeah.
What else? What else happened in the NBA? I think that's about
Your
it.
boy Aldridge is not going to play. LaMarcus Aldridge is not going to play, but Aldridge. But even if he has played, who cares? Yeah.
Listen, LaMarcus Aldridge is a better version of Carlos Boozer.
That ain't saying a whole lot.
No, well, you know what? Ability-wise, both of those guys should be 25, 27, and 10 guys every year.
Oh, yeah.
But they're not, and LaMarcus Aldridge, I think, is a better player than Carlos Boozer. However, LaMarcus Aldridge ain't got that dog in him. He ain't got that. He don't have that umph where he wanted. He'll have like playoff time. He'll have one good playoff game, and then you don't know he existed in that playoff series.
Right. Well, that was why he went from Portland to San Antonio. He went from a place where initially nobody really cared except the people in Portland. But then as the team got more and more notoriety and people started focusing on the fact that he kept disappearing, he said, well, let me go to San Antonio where nobody really going to pay attention to me.
Right. And they got Tim Duncan, they got Manu, and they got Tony Parker, and I can just blend in. And hide. I can visibly hide.
Yeah. Because even without those players, who do they when they talk about the San Antonio Spurs, who do they talk about? They talk about Greg Popovich.
Yep.
They don't even mention players. They just talk about Popovich. Maybe Murray now.
Yeah.
But nobody they don't mention LaMarcus Aldridge. When you start talking about the San Antonio Spurs, LaMarcus Aldridge is like the last thing you mention.
Right. Unless you're really watching and you know.
Right.
He should have gone there. And with the transition of Tim Duncan leaving, he should be their number one option, right?
Uh-huh.
He isn't a number one option, though. He don't want to be. I don't think he wants to be a number one option. I don't think he really. I don't even. I can't speak for somebody, but I don't think he loves basketball like that.
I think he comes across as somebody who he likes basketball. Right. He don't love it. He's good at it. He wants to be involved in the offense. But as long as he's getting his shots, as long as he's feeling like you're using him in the offense, he's fine. Right. It doesn't have to be, I'm the focal point, but make sure I get my 25 shots.
Then you are a focal point.
Well, not because you could be the number 2 guy and get 25 shots.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So his thing is just make sure I get my shots, and I don't care how you run offense. Just make sure I get my touches, and I'm good. Yeah, but if we win, we win. If we lose, we lose. Just make sure I get my touches.
You sound like Patrick Ewing. I need my touches. I need my touches.
But Patrick cared whether he won or lost. I don't think Lamar and Patrick loves basketball. Like you said, LaMarcus Aldridge comes across as a guy who likes the sport of basketball. He ain't in love with it.
Yeah, and he don't get in trouble. That's another thing. That's why I don't really bag on him like I bagged on Carlos Boozer because Duke thing, and Carlos Boozer was a jerk at times. He just had that air about him.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. In the group, somebody posted that Steph Curry should be, I guess, fourth behind Magic, Oscar, and Isaiah as one of the greatest point guards. Me being me, I'm like, yo, his career ain't over. He's not a true point guard, and he ain't better than Clyde and Pearl.
Okay, he hasn't even had 7 years where he was a top 10 player in the league.
Right.
He hasn't had 7 years. He's had maybe 5.
Right.
So, and that puts him at number 4, ahead of Stockton, ahead of Mark Price, ahead of
Jason
Calvin Murphy, Jason Kidd. Dude, the laundry list. Yeah, the laundry list of point guards that will be ahead of him. You're talking all time.
Mhm.
Cool.
So, I like when people talk about this best and worst. My friend's son, he goes, Jerry West played against plumbers. Stephen Curry's a better athlete and plays against better, I'm like, well, then you can't really make that comparison. And we can't make that comparison because rules change, players' bodies have changed, and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go with the body of work. He ain't doing what Magic did at 19 till Magic had to retire because of HIV.
Mm-hmm.
Magic came in the league nice. He's not doing what Isaiah Thomas did, being a scorer, taking 25 shots a night, playing on a bum ankle in a playoff series.
Yeah.
And then transitioning from I don't have to dominate the ball anymore. I got guys who can score, so I can facilitate more, but still get 20.
Right.
He's not the defender Maurice Cheeks is.
Oh God, no. He's not a good defender at all. But this narrative about better athletes, how the hell would you know? Were you alive when Jerry West was there? So how do you know Jerry West wasn't a great athlete? You don't. Shut up.
Right. And also, it's not whether Steph Curry could beat Jerry West one-on-one or those guys in that era. It's about what he's done on the paper.
Right. And
yes,
you could make an argument that...
Right. I was going to say, yes.
Had to be,
go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, you could make... Okay, because there were less teams, right? Which means that you had concentrated talent. If there's less teams, that means you got to be the cream of the cream of the cream of the crop in order to make it, right? So you can make an argument that they had to be better athletes than they have to be now because there's more teams, which means the talent is watered down.
Mm-hmm.
Which means you don't have to be as good to make a roster.
Yep. Yo, here's the quote. Stop with this old head crap. Jerry West played versus plumbers. Steph is playing versus the greatest athletes with access to modern medicine. Curry's 3-ball would destroy Oscar's brain. He wouldn't know what the hell is happening. Magic is number 1 and Curry is number 2.
Oscar Robertson averaged a triple-double.
Right.
At a time when you could hit somebody with brass knuckles.
Right.
Oscar Robertson averaged a triple-double and didn't even win MVP.
Right. He also was 6'5", 6'6", and built like a truck.
Right. And it was funny with this three-pointer because the context. The three-point shot wasn't available then. Right. That's not to say that they couldn't shoot the three-pointer. It just wasn't an actual thing in the game. So, and you know what? It was what I find it real interesting is that, again, context is lost, and people are trying to make comparisons without context. Don't make comparisons without context. That's all I'm going to say. Don't make comparisons without context. Because I know one thing, Jerry Sloan would have D'd up Steph Curry, and Steph Curry wouldn't. I tell you what, Steph Curry wasn't scoring Jerry Sloan. Jerry Sloan played against plumbers too. But Steph Curry couldn't score because Jerry Sloan would have just punched him in the face.
I don't know where they get these plumbers from because Jerry West played against John Havlicek, Frazier.
That's code. That's code, honestly, to say that, well, the league was whiter then, so they, and I hate that because you whether you realize it or not, you're pushing the same short-sighted, ignorant trope that they push on us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So because there were more white players, they can't be athletic, is what you're telling me. That's what you're really trying to say without saying it.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, we got to give Wes Unseld died, one of my favorite centers. Big ass. That's what I call him, Big West, but I call him Big Ass. Because I would sit and watch, and I was like, I don't like him. Because he always used to get the Knicks to business.
Yeah.
And my uncle, I said, he, I used to look at, you look at cards and books. I'm like, he only 6'6". My uncle's like, he puts the big ass on everybody. Look at him. And then I started watching more. I appreciated him. Wes Unseld was one of the best centers in the NBA. At 6'5", 6'6", maybe.
Right.
He was a beast.
Yep.
Couldn't jump but 3-4 inches.
Man, listen, you couldn't slide a sheet of paper under his feet when he jumped, and he still was averaging what? Rebounds a game? It was a ridiculous number he would average a game. Right. You think about the era he played in, and look at some of the centers, some of the all-time centers that played when he played.
He played against a lot of 7-footers. And guys
but look
bigger
at some
than
of the
him.
other. Yep. But you had Dave Cowens. Dave Cowens, what, 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" at the most? Bob Lanier,
6'8".
Dave Cowens like 6'7" at best.
I know.
Bob Lanier was like only 6'9".
They list him at 7 feet.
Bob Lanier wasn't no 7-footer because he wasn't that much taller than West. He was taller than West, but not by that much.
I think he was 6'10". I give him 6'10".
Okay. Then you had Kareem. You look at some of the centers that these guys had to go against, and how diverse their skill sets had to be.
Right.
Because one night you might be playing against Kareem, who was 7'1", and the next night you might be playing against Bob Lanier. Then the next night you might be playing against Dave Cowens. Then the next night you play against Wes Unseld. Then the next night, you go to Indiana. They got George McGinnis playing center at 6'8", built like a Greek Adonis.
Right. And a young Herb Williams.
Yeah. Then you go to Philly.
6'11".
Yeah. You had all the Jones boys. You know what I'm saying? Caldwell, Major, Tom Jones, Major Jones, Caldwell Jones, Jim Jones, every damn Jones you could think of.
Boston, Lambeer, and after we talking late 70s, because West played into the early 80s.
Yeah. I mean, Boston, you had
Jack Sikma, Rudy Tomjanovich.
Yeah, Sikma. Yeah. I mean,
who Milwaukee?
Yeah,
Milwaukee
Billy
had
Falk
Bob.
down to San Antonio.
Right. CD, man, go read before you talk to me, man.
Dan Issel, who was out there shooting. Dan Issel, who would take you out on the perimeter and just killing you from the perimeter.
Denver's front line was all three of them averaged 20 points.
Yeah,
disgusting.
Yeah,
and then for a minute, before they got old, what's his name? Their point guard. We talked about him a couple weeks ago, either on the show or on the phone. He used to get triple doubles.
You talking about Fat Boy, Fat Lever?
Fat Lever, yeah. Towards the end of their career, they had Fat Lever at point guard.
Yeah. And dude, we haven't even mentioned Artis Gilmore. By the way, you didn't even mention the A Train.